Hey guys, this is John, and greetings. I'm playing 5 Minute. I'm playing International Master Curlian, who is a frequent opponent in the 5 Minute pool. I'm going to play a ready setup, and I wish I would have played b3 on the previous move, in fact, but that's okay. We'll try to play it like this. Let's go queen b3. If I would have played b3 right when he played g6, I could preempt or at least oppose his bishop on the diagonal. But I was moving kind of fast and didn't do it. Okay, so now I think I'm going to play knight c3 and hopefully arrange e4 in the long run. First, I may need to play e3 just to give my queen a retreat square to the e2 square. I'm not too familiar with the setup from the white side, but I do play this way from the black side a lot. Although I don't usually have my bishop fianchetto with the dark square bishop. Usually I'll have e6 and bishop e7 played. Okay, interesting. So he plays b5. Probably means he would like to get in, or sorry, he played a6. It means he'd like to get in b5 followed by c5 at some point. So I'm just going to oppose his queen with my rook. And I think I'm going to voluntarily retreat because I don't see my queen doing too much useful on c4 anymore. Also, this retreat helps me play e4, which I've already stated is one of my goals in this position. I think this guy's name is Carlo D'Amore, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Carlo D'Amore. Definitely remember playing this guy many, many times. Not so much recently, but over the years in the 5 Minute pool, like certain names and people stand out to you. Always seems pretty solid. He's having a little bit of a think here. I think a move that might make sense for him. Well, knight e4 is sometimes played in positions like this, and, well, there you go, he plays it. I think here I could maybe just play knight h4, though, and kick his bishop back. Because if I trade and he takes, then it might be hard to dislodge this bishop. But by doing this, I'll probably force him back to e6, and I feel like now I can accomplish some of my goals easier. So here I can choose between a lot of moves like c4 or e4. Maybe even bishop a3 is good in this position. Seems like a fine move. Overall, I like pushing c4 or e4 though. I think I'll probably do that. Let's play c4. We'll keep this diagonal open for our light square bishop. If I play e4, I would shut that diagonal down slightly. He could play b5, but in the case of b5, I could have played c5. Knight b6, so he just attacks the pawn. I think I'll just continue with this. Pretty much have to. We'll see where he puts this knight. Puts it on d5. Okay. So if I go e4, he goes knight c3, so that is the threat. I think bishop d2 makes sense. I'm wondering if he'll play f5 in order to gain a foothold on the e4 square. I think this position is very nice for me, though, because I'm going to play rook ab1 and take aim at that backward b pawn. That's a big liability for him. Yeah, and he knows it, too. That's why he advances. Okay, I think I should take. And when he takes back, presumably with the queen, I'll play rook ab1 anyways. And I wonder about the future of his a6 pawn. This just seems like easy play for white. Okay, so he goes and defends that. Now, I do think he wants to play c5. He'd really love to play that move. So I could take some step to discourage that. But let's just play bishop a5. I think bishop a5 is a constructive move. Let's do that first. So I'm controlling b6. Now he'll have to watch out if this knight ever gets dislodged that I don't play like bishop b6 or rook b6 maybe. Plays rook b8, so maybe trying to simplify down the file. Queen c2 looks pretty decent here. Could also play like rook c1. Let's go queen c2. And if he takes, I'll just take back with this rook. Just wanted to make sure no bishop f5 move can be played. I mean, I've got my knight here. Rook b5, that's probably a good move. Makes a lot of sense. So I don't necessarily want to take. So he's kind of playing off that. So I'll go here. Yeah, he's defending pretty well. If I play e4 now, a4 looks pretty good too. a4, he could trade rooks and then play c5 though, is my fear. I really don't want him to play c5 so easily. Don't like that. So I feel like now might be getting the time to play e4. It's getting close to that point. Ooh, I don't know though. I really don't like that. Okay, I'm just going to play e4, because I'm not sure how else to treat this position. I want to see where his knight goes to. I still have some qualms about doing this, but minute 30, got to make a decision. I'm expecting knight f6. Maybe knight b6. I think I might go bishop f1 soon. Yeah, let's go bishop f1 now. Try to get him to trade. And then if he plays c5, I can play d5 at least. He does trade. Oh, my d4 pawn is hanging. Duh. Whoops. Should have taken with my queen. That's too bad. At least if he takes on d4. Okay, he didn't see it. But if he took on d4, I could take on a6. That's maybe what he was thinking, but I'm guessing he just didn't see it. Let's go bishop c4 with an eye towards playing e5 when this pawn is defended. Okay, he's angling for the d6 square. Let's go bishop a5. And if knight d6, I'll just drop my bishop back. He might play c4. But I can play bishop b6. Maybe reclaim the diagonal. Let's get this knight back in the game. That's another way to try to threaten e5. He's playing very actively. Let's do this. Let's try to cut that bishop out of the game. Let's go here. He might check me on h3, but what can you do? My time is getting really low, so I gotta fly. I want to go king g2. King g2 would help me out. Let's just do this first. If c3, I'll play a4. This is looking good. I'm going to take this pawn next move. Okay, now he's pinned. He's pinned on the c file. I have a simple plan of playing queen c4 next. It's looking good for me. I just got to make sure. Okay, well now we're doing some trades. Let's just play king g2, safeguard my king a little bit. Attack this pawn. Let's get him in further. Let's go here. So that attacks the queen and also attacks the knight, which he just hung. I'm threatening to play.
Time warning.
Okay, this looks good for me.
Check.
Just got to fight against the
Check.
time situation now. Okay. So I am winning, but the time is a concern. Not too big of a concern, though. Let's go win this guy. Oh. He made a break
Check.
for my pawns. moving pretty much instantly now. An attempt to... Okay, let's see if I can mate him in this amount of time. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go for a flag.
Check.
Yeah, I flagged him. I think it's easier to flag in those situations than it is actually to try to find a mate. Because I noticed like his time was actually catching up with mine after a certain point, so it was easier for me to not think about trying to checkmate him and just use my queen to like take away squares from his king and flag him. That was fun. I like that game. Let's have a look. So with this particular move order, black is offering a chance to go into a Slav. So I could play d4 and he'd probably play d5. We'd have a Slav on our hands. So I tried to delay or completely forego d4. So I don't know as much about g6. I know a lot about d takes c4 because I've played that from both the white and the black side in this position, and it's considered like one of the critical moves here. g6 is a little slower. I wish I would have played b3 though, because I think this setup is more challenging to black, where you oppose their dark square bishop. Although as played, I like the position I ended up getting. So queen b3 in this position. Very Slav-like, Slav-Grunfeld hybrid setup. And I know from experience on the black side, black's attempts to equalize really depend on the pawn breaks here, especially the c5 pawn break, it seems, or e5. So he'd eventually like to organize one of these two. And rook d1 is just a good move to make him think twice about that, since my rook will be lined up with his queen. That's a good investment for my rook's future down the d-file. So he went here, and I withdrew my queen. So I anticipate he's going to attack my queen with something like b5 or knight b6 soon. So I want to do that just to kind of menace e4 as well. And I was explaining that this move is often played to forestall the e4 advance. However, in the setup where black has a pawn on e6 and the bishop on e7, white typically can't play knight h4 as easily because black's bishop on e7 will be guarding that square. So here, I think I took advantage of that nicely by playing knight h4. And he has to get rid of the tension with the knights. And then retreats his bishop, and I think I'm comfortably better here. I have lots of options in the center. I'm just curious what the computer eval will give. It's actually not that positive for white. That's a small advantage. But I like my space edge. I like my conglomeration of pawns, this pawn mass that I have, c3, d4, e3. Seems like I have good ways to play this position. So here the engine suggests playing b5 for him, just getting rid of the backward pawn. Really likes that move. And if I go here, you can play bishop c4. Okay, queen c2, and then e5. Yeah, so the engine wants him to morph the pawn structure a bit and really strike out at my pawns before I have a chance to tighten my grip with the space advantage. He played knight b6, as I recall. Now it does look pretty nice for white. Just simply bishop d2. This is a backward pawn. If left to my own devices, I'll just play rook a b1 next move and maybe even double the rooks on the b file. Probably at some point play e4 and kick his knight out of the square. So he did this. Yeah, I really began to like my position now. I do think I perhaps misplayed it somewhere. Rook b5 was a good move, because he doesn't want to simply trade. He wants to actually kick this bishop out. So rook b5 plays off the fact that I don't want to initiate the trade myself on b5, because that would allow him to repair his structure a little bit. Either a takes or c takes. A takes would be a discovered attack on this bishop, but he may also consider c takes. So rook b5 is a nice like stopgap move. It's kind of in between trading and just leaving it, the rook on b8. So I went back here. I am curious about this position because I spent a good portion of my time on this move, and I couldn't find much for white. I guess there's not much to be had. The computer likes rook b c1, so terminating any chance of a trade on this file, but playing against the possibility of c5. But yeah, he can still play c5, can't he? Knight f3. What's that about? So if takes, I'm going to sacrifice my queen for a rook and bishop. Is that right?
Check.
And then somehow I'm better here. Knight takes d4. Yeah, the chances I would have gone for this are low. But I guess the computer's saying that I'm attacking his rook. My bishop is unleashed. Knight c6 might be a problem. Black's coordination is poor. He's got a pin piece here. Yeah, not a line you're going to calculate in a blitz game, I don't think. So that means I probably made a mistake in the moves leading up to this. Maybe here, queen c2 was a little lackluster. I could see that. It likes rook bc1 right away. Hit the pawn. I wonder if bishop f1 is also a decent move. Because I wanted to attack that a6 pawn at multiple times in this position, but never really got a chance. Yeah, so queen c2 is just a kind of a blah move. Yeah, and after this, bishop f1. So when I went for this line and rook takes, I pre-moved rook takes, and I didn't realize that he could have just captured on d4 in this position, which I bet is like clearly the best move. Let's check. Yeah, queen takes d4. And I can take here, but something simple with his rook, and this pawn is hanging, a2 might be loose. It gives him a nice advantage here, even if rook d8, queen takes c6. Yeah, he just takes on e4. Evened up the material, and yeah, black has nothing to complain about at all here. I think this is a case where, even though I have an outside passed pawn, and we're in kind of an endgame, his powerful bishops and good coordination kind of trumps any potential I have with this outside passed pawn. If a few more pieces were off the board, and his activity wasn't as great, then this passed pawn might matter more. But as it stands, I could completely understand why the engine significantly prefers black if this were to happen. So he didn't see that, fortunately for me. He played this, and I got d5 in. And now I started to like my position again. Still, though, I feel like I misplayed it a bit. Knight e8 was a nice maneuver. Maybe bishop c4 wasn't so good. I see the computer likes bishop c3 better, giving me the option of trading dark square bishops should he retreat his knight or move his knight. This is a good maneuver. Bring the knight to that square. So now we're getting lowish on time. Yeah, maybe he should have advanced c4. If c4, I was planning on playing bishop b6. But yeah, this is a significant achievement for him. I really need to be able to play e5 here. Otherwise, my majority in the center is somewhat crippled or stalled. So that's why I brought the knight back from the brink. Yeah, he started... Ooh, knight a3 was possible. I dodged a bullet on that one. Okay, so my queen and my rook could have been forked. I got a little lucky. He missed a few strong possibilities. And then I was able to corral his c-pawn. Oh, wow, he can just ignore the attack on b5. I guess technically I'm not really threatening that, since, yeah, queen takes b5 check, followed by picking up the bishop, is possible. But I'm guessing if he plays c2, I could probably do something like that. Knight a3, okay. Computer says what? Queen d3 is better? e6? Okay. Interesting. Take, take, take. Now king g2, and I have that threat if he goes and takes my bishop. Yeah, getting complicated at this point, and not nearly enough time to analyze during the game. Now I should be winning after rook takes c3, or close to it. Rook c6 would have been good. That's another stopgap move. That's very similar to the move rook b5 that black played on move 21. It's like, you're not keeping the rook on the square that you're offering a trade from, nor are you exchanging directly. You're making an annoying move like halfway into their position and creating a threat and trying to trade on your own terms. It's like if he takes now, I've got this really powerful passed c-pawn. Those type of moves are kind of hard to see, like rook moves that go halfway into their position. They're generally pretty effective if they're possible. And here I liked king g2. That was a nice move to get in because now it just rules out any queen h3 business or queen c1 check. The rest was just time pressure, and luckily queen c6 turned out to be very strong, and I just won a knight. Even if he had traded queens, he can't stop my c-pawn. He'll have to give up a piece for it. So, yeah, now he's just winning after this. So, cool. Well, hope you guys enjoyed that game, and I'll be back with a couple more videos today. Thanks, guys.